I'm gonna start crying. When I tell you I was not ready for that, I was not ready. How is it going, everyone? And welcome back to another video where I'm basically gonna be crying for 20 minutes. Joy. As you know, it is April 29th, and over the last couple days has been a very eventful for nerd fandoms. More specifically, and you know exactly where I'm going with this, I am talking about the Game of Thrones fandom and the Marvel fandom. What's been released in the last couple days, Avengers Endgame was released on Friday, and Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3, The Battle of Winterfell, was released last night. Let me tell you, everyone's been up in flames. My timeline on Twitter and Instagram has literally just been filled with things from both of those things. I thought I'd talk about it, talk about my opinions, and all that stuff. So just a warning before I get started, this is spoiler full. I'm going to talk about everything. So if you don't want either of these spoiled, if you haven't watched either one, do not watch this video and come back after watching it. Thanks. We're going to start off with the one that hurt the most, Avengers Endgame. So as you know from my many videos and that I never shut up about, I love Marvel. I love these characters. I've been watching them for years and years and years. Almost as long as the MCU has been a thing. I started watching it in like 2011, 2012 and kind of caught up from there. Now, watching this film has been an emotional roller coaster for me. I was not ready for what I was going to see. Let's just say that. But no one really is, so I feel like it's not like a huge deal. But let me tell you, I was not ready for what I was seeing. I had some things spoiled for me. More importantly, spoiler alert right now, I had Tony's death spoiled for me and Natasha's death spoiled for me. I didn't know how they died. I didn't know when they died. I just knew they died. And I was not ready for when I actually watched it. The film opens up and it's like takes place like a couple weeks, I think, after Infinity War. And Captain Marvel saves Tony from space, Tony and Nebula from space, and she comes down with them and they go and find Thanos and they're like, ha, fuck you. And they find out that he destroyed the stones. And literally that scene ends with Thor literally cutting his head off. And let me just say, that was so satisfying. But it goes on, basically, they have to time travel to find everything because he destroyed the stones in an effort so that he won't use them again, I think is what happened. It's complicated. But 5 years goes by, which whenever that 5 years later thing popped up on the screen, I was really confused. I was like, what? How are they going to pop by 5 years? And they did. And I wasn't complaining. I was just confused. You really see how emotional they really are, especially whenever you see that 5 years later and it pops up right away on Natasha's face. And she just looks so defeated and so sad. And it's so sad to watch. But as soon as they figure out how to time travel and go back in time and retrieve all the stones, it's amazing to watch. And I really loved, especially whenever they go back to the first Avengers movie in 2012, I think it was. And they try to get the Space Stone and the Mind Stone from Loki, who had both somehow. But they fuck up and Loki gets away with the Space Stone, but they get the Mind Stone. And then getting the Mind Stone, it's a whole other thing. And I love how they do the callback with the Winter Soldier, with the elevator scene, which is my favorite scene in all the MCU until now, which I'll get into that in a little bit. And it's, I love it. And I really loved how they had to go back in time more and to 1970. And for the first time since the 40s, Steve saw Peggy. And in that moment when he's looking at her, I knew something's going to happen and he's going to find a way to be with her. So whenever he does do that in the very end, I was not really surprised. I was sad, but I was not very surprised, and I was really happy for him. I also really loved how they had Tony and Howard kind of like speak to each other and like kind of strike up a conversation and love each other kind of thing. Not love each other, but like each other. And it was so cute and wonderful, and oh my goodness, it was so cute. And I feel like after that, Tony's arc was kind of complete in a weird way. Because basically he talks about growing up how his dad didn't even like him. He never even said he liked him, never said he loved him, yada yada yada. You know, that whole thing he talked about in previous movies. But I feel like him talking to him and kind of seeing how much he actually cared for him, even if he never showed it, was such a completion thing for him. And it was just so sweet and cute, and just, it was really nice to watch as a fan of Tony. The next part, the only part of the movie I didn't really like, but I get why they had to do it, was when Nebula's computer systems kind of like messed up with the past Nebula and the present Nebula. And I didn't like that, but I didn't hate it, and it went well with the story, so I didn't really like care that much. But I really liked whenever Nebula and War Machine went, or Rhodey, whatever, went to that planet where Peter Quill was. I don't remember what it's called. It starts with an M. I don't remember. And I love how we kind of got to see that part of the movie where it's the opening of Guardians 1. He's just like dancing around, fucking around, and it's just whatever. It's so funny. And they get this done relatively easy, which is really nice because they were kind of having issues around with everyone else. Especially whenever Thor went to Asgard with Rocket and had to go to get Jane, or get the stone out of Jane, and then he talked to his mom. It was really cute. I love that scene so much. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, honestly. I'm going to say that about every single one. But then we get to the part where Natasha and Clint are on Vormir. I'm going to start crying. When I tell you I was not ready for that, I was not ready. I knew, though, as soon as they split off from Nebula and Rhodey, that they're like, okay, we're going to Vormir. I was like, shit, one of them are going to die. I knew Natasha was dying, but I didn't think it was going to happen yet. And I was just not ready. And, oh my god. Natasha's one of my favorite characters, and I'm so sad she's gone. But she has an upcoming movie, so it's gonna be okay. We're okay. It's all right. But the way she died, or the reason she died for Clint and for the Avengers, people she saw as her family, was a really nice little, like, complete circle for her. Because she started off in the Russian, whatever she was in, Russian intelligence or whatever, and she grew up with such a dark background, with no love in her life, no one to even be considered a friend in her life, and then she had the Avengers and the SHIELD and all those people who she considered family, and to sacrifice herself for that family, I think was probably the best way for her to go. And I think they did a good job with that, honestly. Now let's get to the very end. The Hulk gets the homemade Infinity Gauntlet and snaps and brings everyone back. But it takes a second to happen. It's confusing. But the moment everyone comes back, I love that moment. It's the moment whenever Sam Wilson's talking in the comms, and it's like, on your left, and you look over and you see Doctor Strange's portal opening up, and out walks Black Panther, Shuri, and Okoye, and then Sam Wilson just kind of flies out. Oh my god, it was so, I literally started crying right then. No one was even dead yet besides Natasha, and I was crying. I'm a fucking mess. And that whole battle was just so fun. And right at the end, whenever Thanos got the gauntlet back on after going against Captain Marvel for a little bit, I got really nervous. I was like, shit, he's gonna win again. What's gonna happen? And then the Tony thing happens. And it's just, he goes, I am inevitable. And Tony Stark appears with the stones crawling up his little nanobot things. Sorry, I don't remember what it's called, nanites. And goes, and I am Iron Man. And that's the last thing he says. And I'm just sad about it, okay? I care more about these fictional characters than I do about myself, and it's an issue. The funeral scene is really sweet, and it pays homage to everyone that was there and been involved in his life, including the kid from Iron Man 3 was there, and Fury and Maria and all that, and it was really sweet. And then the next scene happens where we have Captain America try to go back in time and put everything back. And I remember Hulk saying, take all the time you need. It'll be 5 seconds for us. And in that moment, I knew he was not coming back as the Cap we know him as. After those 5 seconds, and he's like, he's not here. What's going on? Bucky was the only one who knew. He looked over to the bench and saw the old Steve, and in that moment, I started bawling my eyes out. And I'm pretty sure that's how the movie ends, is right after that. And I was literally bawling my eyes out. My brother was like, are you crying? And I was like, yeah. I'm going to watch the movie again this weekend, and I'm still not ready. But before moving on to Game of Thrones, I just want to say, Marvel, thank you so much for building such a wonderful universe. You got millions and millions of fans like myself who just love it, grew up with it, even if it wasn't physically growing up, spent all this time with you and your characters and all the actors and their stories and their portrayals, and it just means the world to us fans. So, Marvel, even though it's not the end of the MCU, it's the end of the MCU as we know it so far, and I just want to say thank you. It was a great ending, and I'm really proud of y'all. So thanks. Okay, moving on to Game of Thrones, which it's still depressing, but not as bad depressing as Endgame is. A couple episodes of Game of Thrones has kind of been leading up, not even the last couple episodes, the whole series, since episode 1, since the first frame of that show we see with the Night Rangers. Yeah, Night Rangers? I'm gonna go with it. Are outside the wall and they find the White Walkers for the first time. That is when it all started and leaded up to the Battle of Winterfell. And who would have thought? I remember watching the episode. I refused to look at my phone because I didn't want anything spoiled for me. And I remember watching just that one scene with Arya at the end. I was like, shit. It was the Night King and Bran looking face to face with each other, and I was just like, shit, he's gonna kill Bran. What the hell? And I actually like Bran. Yeah, right when the Night King was reaching back to grab that sword, and you see Arya just come out of nowhere and jump on the Night King, and he has her around her throat and her wrist, and he's holding her, and it's just like, I thought he was gonna kill her, and I was just like, shit, I can't lose more people. I already lost enough people in this episode. And she drops the knife and catches it in her other hand and goes, shh. I started screaming. My parents were asleep, and they were like, shut up! A fucking legend! Fuck. But that whole episode, the payoff with Lyanna Mormont, with the giant and her dying in that way, was just spectacular. The thing with Jorah dying for Dany, which is what he's been wanting to do since the very beginning, since he met her, was amazing. Beric dying for Arya because the Lord of Light knew he needed to survive to save her. And even Melisandre dying. She didn't die in an honorable way, but she still died after her purpose was fulfilled, and oh my god. And I have a fan theory for that, but I'll get to that in a second. And Theon dying for Bran after doing all that shit to him in the earlier seasons, and Bran finally forgiving him and telling him, you're a good man. That just fucked me up. Episode was literally a roller coaster, and a lot of characters that I enjoy are not alive anymore, and I'm sad. But watching that preview when Cersei was in it, just kind of looking on like, they're all dead, haha, just pissed me off. Back to my fan theory. So Melisandre in the very earlier seasons, when she first meets Arya, tells her, you're gonna close the eyes of brown eyes, blue eyes, and green eyes. She says it again in this episode of season 8, episode 3, and talks about how she would close blue eyes, talking about the Night King, and she was right. She also closed the eyes of brown eyes. Who else had brown eyes? Lord Walder Frey had brown eyes. Coincidence? So did Meryn Trant. Coincidence? I think not. Who in Game of Thrones also has green eyes, who is not dead yet? I think a certain Cersei Lannister? Is that you? Love this episode. They did such a good payoff for each character, leading up to them, for us knowing them as long as we have, and I'm just so proud to be a part of this. And we still have 3 more episodes left, so like, what the hell is gonna happen next? Thank you, Game of Thrones, for doing your characters justice. I'm so happy to be part of this fandom. Once again, thank you, Marvel, for doing such a great job, for giving Steve the ending he deserved, for getting Tony the ending he deserved, for Natasha the ending she deserved, and all the characters' push and completion. Thank you so much. That was amazing. The only thing I didn't like about it was Thor a little bit, but like, it was fine. Thank you, David Benioff and DB Wise. If I said that wrong, I'm sorry. You're never going to watch this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm just kidding. But thank you so much for giving your characters justice and being with us for the last 7 years, even though I only started watching the show last year. But still, just giving these characters such a great payoff. It's been amazing. So thank you. I'll have any opinions about Avengers Endgame or the Battle of Winterfell or Game of Thrones in general up until now, feel free to leave a comment below with what you think was your favorite part or what you hated, which I would love to hear because I want to hear other people's opinions, even if they're wrong. Thank y'all so much for watching this video with me and me literally going crazy while trying to explain how I'm not crazy. It didn't work. It's always been a roller coaster, and Marvel's my favorite thing in the entire world, so thank y'all so much. But I will see y'all on whatever I do next, which is going to be the next Last of Us part, and yes, so see y'all then. Deuces.